everybody, this is Anne, and welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips with your host, me, and disembodied voice, Justin. How is everyone today? It's a day. It's kind of a day. It's New Year's Eve. It's the end of 2020.
Yay!
David says, yay! Hello, 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 hello. Hey, everybody. Morning. Morning. Hey, Otter Mama. 16 months. Dang. Good catch. You caught me. I'm like a Pokemon. I'm elusive. Well, not really if you show up at the same time every day, but you know. You have an Arnold Palmer with booze and barbecue right now. Yeah, I know, Zeke. I'd be okay too. Hey there, Robin Julie. Happy New Year. Awesome. Yay. Yo, everybody. Yo, yo. It's a day. Yeah. All right. Well, we're Sphinxing today. So it's a good thing that Julie and Bob are here. Yeah. David and I, we have a bottle of champagne.
It's chilling right now.
Yes, it is chilling right now. It's morning for us, so, you know, we've got plenty of time to chill the champagne. Oh, work schedule. Yeah, I get you. Well, I'm glad you're here, Adam Mama. I missed you. Hey, Chibi. Yes, happy, joy. Happy, joy. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. Reaper John is also with the yeah. Bob and Julie, not Judy. Get it right, John David. Julie, yes, exactly. You got it. All right, cool. Let's go Sphinxing. Hey, I gotta show you guys. Actually, wait. I should go. Oh, it's too late. Curses. I wanted to show you my I'll have to show you under the big camera. Hold on. Let me zoom out as much as I can. I think we're zoomed out as much as I can. So I found a picture of wings that I want to do, at least the back of the wings. This is a really pretty bird. I have lots of art books. I hold this up. I have lots of art books like this, if you look at my face cam, where it's like, just because I've gotten them on sale at like Barnes & Noble or wherever. And often they have types of stuff like this, you know, a simple, I've got one on wolves, I've got one on big cats, I've got one on snakes and reptiles, and I've got one on birds of prey. So even though I could do internet searches, I found a really pretty pattern on the back of a hawk that I thought I would duplicate more or less on our Sphinx-y. I would use it as inspiration for our Sphinx. So this is an African harrier hawk, so it's even the right geographical area to be a Sphinx-derived bird. And as you can see, it's got some really interesting features. So we've got kind of a clouded pattern on the upper level, still with a few feather tips kind of picked out, but more of kind of a randomized pattern up here, so that'll be fun. And then you've got a layer of feathers that go from very bright edged to very kind of a dark center. So you've got a kind of a cool gradient here from the cream all the way through brown to the really dark color. And then on the outside, you've got dark feathers on the outside, and then bars, the little barring, striping, with actually a couple of feathers with unusual patterns, and then you go back to standard. So yeah, this is an African harrier hawk. So yeah, pretty much perfect for the Sphinx. I looked at ospreys, I looked at a lot of different birds, but this is a gorgeous pattern, and it's in the right colors for the back of our Sphinx. Not that it matters for color. I was mostly looking for inspiration for something cool and a little bit different, right? Because it's very tempting sometimes to go very bland for the back of the wings, but in reality, a lot of birds have interesting patterning there. You just need to look around for inspiration. So this again comes back to what I'm always telling you guys. If you're going to paint anything that has any part in common with an actual animal, use a photo reference. It's going to give you a lot more ideas. And also it's going to keep you honest, and it's going to make sure that your animal looks like the animal that you are trying to emulate, because we all think we know what they look like until you look at a photo and go, whoa, that's so different. So do not bow to the urge to just use your imagination. Do use a photo reference. Remember, you don't have to use the most complicated version of that photo reference. You just want to make sure you get the colors right and the patterns right on animals. It's really important to get color and pattern placement on wolves and on, you know, leopards and tigers to make them look correct. So yes. Happy New Year's Day to those in Aussie land. That's right. Australia. Hopefully. So you guys are already in 2021. Is it better? Oh dear. For me, I'm an optimist. I am a glass half full kind of person. So for me, it's going to be better. It's going to be better. I mean, although, you know, even with its warts, this past year was pretty okay for me. All right, let's get some colors. So we were using rich leather, I know, for the shading. I was probably using leather brown or something similar for the regular colors. This is one where I failed, guys. I failed because I forgot to write down what I was actually using. So now I get to do the awesome reconstruct of what I was actually using. I probably was using something like the blonde hair triad, and I like totally managed to put it away. So what I was using for the brown? Yeah, well, Dragon Eye is probably, given that I've been totally obsessed with it lately, it's probably a mixture of like rich leather and polished leather with some yellow, with some white and yellow added into it. In fact, I can almost guarantee that that is the case. And my yellow is almost always NMM Gold Highlight. See, this is where it's good when you're in a painting rut, guys, because you know then, you kind of know, even when you don't know, where your colors were going. But I mean, okay, so, well, that's the shading. Rich leather was the shading, but for the beige, I'm pretty sure I was using, like, blonde hair triad, but I put that away long ago because I normally don't use it. Normally just put together some concoction of blonde. But it's pretty easy to mix a tan of this sort if you have like something like rich leather and polished leather. In fact, it may just be rich leather with yellow and white added to it. You could easily hit this color with that. So this is where my paint mixing expertise comes in, where I'm just like, it's a yellowish tan. It's the easiest thing to mix in creation, except for maybe gray. And the thing is, with an organic creature, I don't have to match it. I just have to get close. Because the wings are a totally different part of the body. So if they're not a perfect match, they're going to be fine. But I mean, I know I can get close, guys. Mixing color, never think mixing color is hard. It's really just not. Let's see here. There we go. Sphinx-y's tilted a little bit weird there. There we are. So I'm going to pop some colors in my palette. And we'll just adjust. And the easiest thing to do if you're trying to mix a golden tan or a blonde color from, hey Val, how's it going? And Liquid Nebula, the Nebulator. Yeah, I could have gone back and watched my old video, but meh, who wants to make it easy? So I think I'm going to go with rich leather, NMM Gold Highlight, and white. And the easiest way to see how to shift a color, by the way, if you're trying to mix this sort of color, and you've got kind of a yellowy brown, and you're like, okay, well, I know I should start here, you know, with one of these, what should I do? The easiest way to get a feel for how close it is to mix a little white into it. That will instantly tell you where you need to go to mix your color. That's why I'm just saying, Dragon Eye, it's like, if you know, for example, if I know I use rich leather, the easiest thing for me to do is to put a couple drops of rich leather into a well, and then add a little white, because I know this is a lighter color, right? So since I know it's lighter, just add some white, and then judge. So, because I mentioned this before, but adding white to any color tends to reveal its pigments. Like a deep color is sometimes hard to see, but as you add white, you can usually see, oh, that shifts orange, or oh, that shifts, you know, yellow. Like with polished leather, it tends to shift quite orangey. So that's why I'm starting with rich. And we'll just pop some white in there, and we'll see how close we get. And it's very easy at that point, since you just added, you know, a little bit of white. And since I was, you know, I added 1 drop, so I'm on a 2-to-1 ratio, so that's easy to remember. So then we compare, and we're actually really close, aren't we? Like, that is very close. Like, the only thing... Hey, Crowley. No idea, Hagar. It's not scary at all. You just need to... Seriously, Val, you just need to start with, like, 2 drops of paint, add white. Then tune. So, if I look here, if you look here at Sphinx, this is almost a perfect match. What I'm seeing is that my highlight color has more yellow in it, so that's cool. So but this is a good base color. It's going to be really close to the rest of this. So really, I probably just mixed a little bit of yellow with white with the rich leather like I thought I did. Oh, Twitch, yeah, unfollows. Well, see if you have to. Are you still following us, Hagar? Make sure you hit the follow button, because as Quindy just pointed out, Twitch tends to unfollow people sometimes. I hate that, where I have to like follow all over again. They're like, "Thank you for the follow," and I'm like, "I've been following you for ages. I did not neglect you." All right, so I know that this is kind of a base that I want. I'm going to start here. If I want to test it and see if I can get closer, I can actually add some yellow to see if I can nail my highlights. But looking at this is the base coat. Like, it's really, like, it's so close to the base coat, I may as well just use it. With unfollow situation, really? I have. Recently, too. Like, within the last 3 months.
It actually happened yesterday during Lucas' stream. Twitch took a complete dive.
Oh, did it? Reset everybody?
In chat. Yeah, when chat came back finally for people, there were people complaining that they'd unfollowed for him.
Yeah. Hold on. Boom. I'm going to put Justin in my ear and hope it works. My head jack seems to be working a little bit better lately. That way you guys can listen to disembodied voice without echoey, without from the grave. Yeah, I know, no, Medzik. It's just my headphone jack has just been not, like, it'll work half the time. Just the sign that I need to get a new computer. All right, so we're pretty sure that we matched that color pretty well. Well enough, anyway. And the other thing when you're trying to match a color is you really need to look kind of at your ground color. Like, make sure you're looking at this middle tan kind of on the haunch, not at the highlight color. Because the highlight color, you know you're going to have added, like, probably yellow and white, too, if you're working with a tan like this. Or the color that you used to highlight probably had a lot of yellow and white in it. Francis, my headphone jack is off. So if sometimes if I plug him in, it doesn't work. And so you're going to get an echo whenever I don't have my headphone in. So, yes. We did not mean for this to be 12th night. It's not, we did not mean, this is the New Year's Eve stream, not the 12th night stream. No ghost stories. Oh, are you going to do that, Justin? Valendar wants to know if you're going to take your epic journey into becoming a better painter and have all of us tutor you.
You know, I have thinking about that more. Every time Luca or anyone talks about that airbrush, I've always had my eye on it. I don't want to say I want to start with the airbrush because that may not be a good idea, but I want to play with it in a sense that I want to start there if that's possible.
Well, yeah, I mean, brushwork is brushwork and airbrush work is airbrush work, and they're very different. And I mean, airbrushing, what both of them will do for you, hopefully, is set you up with understanding the way that light is falling on your figure, because you can use the airbrush to kind of simulate that, right? You can very broadly paint in highlights and shadows by just spraying from above or spraying from below. So that actually sets you up pretty well to start. And then from there, you can, with brush techniques, it's going to take practice, right? Everything's going to take practice. Controlling an airbrush is going to take practice, but it's a different skill set. They mesh. You don't have to worry about which one you start with. And since you miniatures game, right, Justin's? Or you used to? So
yeah, I haven't in a long time, but yeah.
Yeah, so it might be better to start with the airbrush because that's going to let you paint things faster.
Okay.
Because, you know, they'll let you get a quick highlight mid-tone shade down on a general large area of the figure, and then you can, you know, go from there in detail. But yeah. Cool. It's good that you finished some stuff. I haven't finished anything. I was talking to David about that this morning. Is like, I think part of the reason I've just been like not finishing things is this year is one, the lack of miniature painting competitions, and two, just that my style is like changing so much. I like start something and then I get dissatisfied with the style and I'm like, I could do this better now, and I want to prime it over and start again. Well, yeah, I go in lots of directions, Declerman, and then I'm just like, no, I don't like this. I'm going to stop and go and start something different where I can start from where I want. When you're in flux, when your style is in flux, like, you're just like, okay, I just need to explore some stuff. And that doesn't necessarily mean making myself finish stuff if I don't feel it, so. So I'm going to put this down. It may be lacking a little bit of yellow now that I look it down. I'm going to start with a base color that's the same over the whole wing. With bones, this is especially useful, just because, you know, then you could just add stuff. But, I mean, it's useful for any wing. I tend to start with a ground color. So, again, this is our wing reference figure for those who missed it. Let me back out a little bit. This is our wing reference. So we're gonna stick to this pattern. We may not stick to these colors because they may not work for our Sphinx, but we are gonna try to follow this pattern on the wings. I like the color. I like that pattern because it's really different. So really, I'm kind of starting on the light side with this. And let me look at it next to Sphinx-y. I can't decide. I need to let it dry, but I may need to make it just a little bit deeper. I think I will. I'm going to add just 1 drop of rich leather to this and take it down a little bit. Oh, hey, thanks for the gift sub bomb there, Numbat. You are awesome. Hold on, I'm trying to catch up with chatness. Yeah, I don't know. I started stuff in Ara, but like I said, I would get up to a point and then I was like dissatisfied. I feel like anything that I started while I was kind of transitioning is not a waste of time, but it's like it's left me kind of dissatisfied. Like I almost do need to prime some of that stuff over and just start over. And I may end up doing it even on my competition figures that I was excited about once upon a time. Now I look at them and I'm like, no, not this, something else. So, and you notice I'm using my big flat guys because this is a big flat surface and we want to cover it pretty quick so we can get to the fun parts. I'm gonna look. I think, yeah, I do want just a little bit more, maybe rich or polished leather. What should I use? I think I'm gonna use some polished. Why not? How will I know when I get there? Yeah. Oh, happy New Year from Australia, Numbat. Right. Yeah, that happens too, Scry Guy. As you get better, you take more time over your stuff, and so you definitely see that. Yeah, ReaperCon and cons in general. Hey, Absalon, it's good to see you. Hey, the D&D stream is canceled today, Absalon, because New Year's Eve and I've got so much to get done on my Patreon because after Kiri passed, I got really behind. So I'm going to make a run at everything today and kind of like relax also this evening and just, New Year, end of the day, end of the year. So just so you know, I didn't know if you had been watching yesterday, if you saw me tell people that. So
that's actually why we're not streaming tonight because I think I might have plans with my parents, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's holiday. I'm planning on making us scallops tonight, but not anything that takes a lot of time. All right, we're going to try 1 drop of the polished leather. This is danger. The polished leather is a very strong yellowy orangey color, so I'm hoping it doesn't shift this too much because I just put 1 little drop in. I don't usually switch mid base coat, but it's not a big deal if I do. The lesson you should learn from me doing this, guys, is don't sweat it. Like, honestly, don't sweat your color. If it's a little different, oh no, I'm going to be putting a ton of patterns over it. It's not a big deal. And a bunch of glazes. Yeah, so that warms it up. See the difference? So now I think that's actually a lot closer to Sphinx-y, that yellowy color, because this was a little bleached out. See how it's a little bleached out? And that's a lot more vibrant. So I think that actually this was a good choice. And what I'll just do is put a quick additional coat over this part after it's dried. But yeah, using a stiffer brush with thicker paint for this is, and using a flat makes things go a lot faster. And I usually start around a medium light tone because with wings, I almost always want to do some glazing and to darken and bring out details. So starting a little bit lighter helps with that. I'm going to base coat both wings, but then I'll just work on 1 wing today. And the underside, we're going to be going totally different pattern, of course. Over top side and underside wings are always very different. Oh, nice. Yeah, I did my prime rib already. I almost had prime rib soup on the menu for tonight, but then I decided I wanted something a little less work intensive and a little less heavy because we are having champagne. So David pointed out that prime rib soup does not go very well with champagne. So I'm going with the scallops instead. And I'm going with a as yet to be decided side dish, which really I've kind of decided, but I can't say because it's a surprise for David. Yeah, and I really do appreciate it, Twisted Oma. Yeah. Every time I think I'm getting over it, I just start tearing up again. And I now understand why people run out and get another dog right away, because, like, you miss them so much. I never understood that in the old days. Like, after I lost my very beloved, my first ever pet, my Abyssinian cat, I actually wasn't. I didn't feel it. I was just like, no, I'm not having another animal for a while. But I can see it with Kiri. I'm definitely missing her so much. But can't do it, not in this apartment. It just wouldn't be a good, I don't know. It's just not an optimal dog environment. Like, Kiri was really well trained, so it worked, but we're a long way from grass and stuff like that, so I don't think I want to introduce another dog into the apartment. Plus, you know, I really do want to travel a little bit and do some stuff, so. Yeah, and in the future, Crowley, I don't know. I always thought 2 was kind of the right number. You can still board them when you go on vacations, and it's not, I mean, it's still expensive, but it's not crazy. But yeah, I don't think, I really liked having one dog. I really liked the bond that I had with Kiri at the end, because she's never been an only dog up to the end. Like, up until Leo passed, she had never been an only dog. And I have to say that I do like the closer bond you get when you just have the one. You have the time to spend with them by themselves and to train them and stuff. So we'll see. Like I said, in a couple years, I'll be looking for my next puppy. Or who knows? Maybe the world will toss me a dog like in an unexpected manner. But we'll see. All right, we've got a nice base coat on these wings. Oh, yeah, see, that's what I don't want to do. I want to be really thankful for having such a great dog. Oh, no. Blorf on the paper. If I was smart, I would have put these up on a sticky surface. Sticky surface. And when I do patterns, I will put one of them on the sticky surface. I may need to mix up a little bit more of that now, though. Yeah, after my first cat, I was 6 months, and then there was a cat that I knew that was kind of being mistreated, and that the owner was just a really irresponsible young twit, and his roommates essentially talked him into rehoming the cat. So I took that cat. So I did have a period of 6 months where I did not have an animal because I didn't want one after Ishtar. So I get you, Inara. If that cat hadn't needed a home so badly, I wouldn't have stepped in. I'm going to remix my mix now since I just mixed it. I actually remember it, and I should actually make a note of it this time to, you know, not be a do what I say, not what I do kind of person. So I will make a note of the colors that I used on Sphinx-y so that I make sure I can at least match the wings without big question marks in my head. All right, so essentially we've got a 4-2 rich leather and white. Another thing, if you always default to pure white, you never have to ask yourself what white you used. The only time I tend to use off whites is if I'm really planning not to up to pure white, or if I want a softer highlight, then I'll work up with, say, a bleached linen or something like that, or a creamy ivory. But yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, that happens, Nomad Zeke. Actually, yeah, I had to reconstruct it, Inara, because I forgot. Like, I didn't write this down. It was a bad and did not write down my base kind of beige colors on the hide here. So we are doing 4-2 or 2-1 rich leather and white, plus 1 drop of polished leather, and that got me where I wanted to be. It might not be the exact mix that I used the first time on the Sphinx, but it's close. So, as long as we're close, we're good. Hey, Jabberwock. Yeah, I'll never have that many animals again, Twisted Oma. I had 5 when we had our 4 dogs and a cat, and it was just overwhelming for me. Like, because I worry a lot about my animals, and so I think that it was too much. It was this huge weight of responsibility, and I don't ever want to be there again. I think the most I'll ever have again is 2. That, and like I said, when you want to go on vacation or, whatever, you want to have a trusted place you can put them. And so, if you're going to board them, 2 is manageable. More than that is not. And one of our dogs had also big behavioral issues that I had to work him through. So that was a lot of work and a lot of stress. Yeah, that's what I kind of believe, Dragon Eye. The universe is putting together a new dog for me. The universe understands that I'm very picky this time, because it has big paws to fill. Hey, Shadow Wolf, thanks for the new sub. It's good to meet you. I'm Anne. Sorry for the weepy talk about past pets. I just lost my dog. We don't actually sit here and cry about our lost pets all day, I promise. Today we're working on a Sphinx. And so we're going to be doing wings. And let me show that picture again, because I know we always get new people coming in. So I was talking earlier about, normally we talk about food. Yes, exactly. Yeah, vacations are tough, Saltor. Yeah, and I mean, being here with David now, since I moved out to the West Coast, like, we both would really like to travel to some conventions, once things are back to normal, and get back to Hawaii and do things like that. So here's our picture. This is the pattern that I'm going to use. So I may not use these exact colors, but as far as the pattern, like the cloudy pattern here, the light to dark here, and then the interesting kind of variation in these feathers, that's what we're going to try to do. Oh, yeah. See? Yeah, Chibi. Kiri was having issues in the middle of the night, too, so yeah. All right, so actually we've once again not turned the heat on, so my wings are taking forever to dry. So let's look at, I guess I do need to finish mixing up my color. So we've got 4 drops of rich leather, 1 drop of white, and 1 drop of... Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's really nice, Scrying Eye. When you've got a group of friends with animals who will watch each other's animals when you go on vacation, that's perfect. Like, we used to have friends who would watch our dogs if we needed it. Or watch just a couple of them at least. If we had to take 2 others, like I would take 2 others to a dog show or whatever. But more often it would split the household, where my ex would stay home and watch the dogs, and I would go out and do whatever, or vice versa, right? And that's just not optimal. Oh no, Shadow Raven. That works. So, I don't know, I'm thinking about making deviled eggs, Chibi. Because as I was telling David, deviled eggs are really good snack food for when you're drinking. And I don't plan to I can't drink a lot anymore. It's just the way I am. But I am going to have my whiskey old fashioned, dang it. Whiskey old fashioned sweet. Like, I have like 1 a year. And I could always put in extra soda water so the alcohol doesn't hit my gut so hard, because hard liquor really does these days. Oh, I see. You would do an automatic feeder. Yeah, I would be nervous, Inara. I worry so much about my animals as it is, and I know I'm a worrier, so that would just, like, right there, I'd be constantly worrying, what if it breaks? Things like that. Saltor, I know, there's one that David has that I like, is Yellow Rose. That's from Texas. There were a lot of Texan ones that I liked back when I lived in Texas, just as a matter of point. But I like for aged bourbons, I like Old Forester, which is funny. I always joke it's me because Forester is my maiden name, although it's spelled different. But right, so but yeah, so I like that one a lot. Although, yeah, I don't drink them like I used to. All right, these are getting dry now, so now we can think about what we're gonna do, and probably we're gonna go dark first. Now, if I had to pick, I think what we did here is we used a little bit of brown liner and some rich leather. I may redo that, or I may use some russet brown, because russet brown is really the color I see on these wings. So if I did want to go more toward this color, this is more of a russet brown. Oh, that's nice, Nara. Yeah, as long as you got to check in person. Yeah, that's kind of us right now, Valandar. Like, our socializing has been so truncated by the COVIDs out here that we don't have friends who would know the animals, who would be cool with coming over. And with dogs, it's weird, right? They'd have to live here because dogs are weird. They take a lot more care than a cat. So And yeah, it would be weird. I would want to put them in a pet hotel for sure. All right, so let's start with rich leather. I'm going to do what my gut says I used here, which is rich leather plus brown liner for the shadow. I know I used rich leather for part of it, and then I used probably a rich leather plus brown liner for that very darkest part. So I'm going to do 2 puddles of paint here. I find it useful to go down and then up. A lot on animals and on fur and feathers. I tend to do it that way. I like whiskey sweets. Sours, I don't know. I never got into the sour stuff. It's never been a flavor profile that I enjoyed like some people do. But I like more bitter stuff than like David does, I think. So. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, right? Exactly, Francis. Yes, exactly. So you're a worrier like me. If you don't hear from them, you're just like, ah! Yeah, I feel it. I'm there. Like I said, it's very sad not to have my friend with me still, but I'm just gonna take it easy for a bit. We have a really nice beer, but I think we're gonna not tap that one until we have something good to drink it with. That would be something to have with the prime rib soup, David. The old Rasputin.
What?
I said that would be something to have with the prime rib soup, the old Rasputin.
That's true.
That would be good. A really rich beef stew would go well with that stout. We were trying to figure out what to drink it with. One of my favorite breweries is North Coast Brewery out here. They do the Old Rasputin Imperial Stout, and they do Brother Thelonious Abbey Ale, which I adored. And they do, Scrimshaw Lager and a few other things that I've always really liked their beers even before I lived out here. And they're a California brewery, so now they have a beer club that I could actually join and get special beers from them. Yeah, this is the barrel aged in is it in bourbon barrels? I think it's like when they did their beer club, they did it with really special like cellarable beers. So this is like an aged old Rasputin in bourbon barrels, I think.
I don't think we're gonna cellar it though.
No, we're not gonna cellar it. We're gonna drink it. And they send you a shipment like 3 times a year or something, or 3 or 4 times a year with the beer club. And it's California only, since the other states have rules about shipping alcohol into them. So I'm kind of glad I moved out here because I could take advantage of it. Okay, I'm very glad I moved out here. Part of that is the guy who's sitting across the table from me.
I think it's mostly the beer.
Yeah, I like stouts. Plus, when you're on a low-carb diet, stout is the beer that you should go to. I mean, if you want a beer and not like a Michelob Light or whatever the heck that people drink. Michelob Ultra, that's it. The lower-carb beer. Nice. Yeah, I have friends who brew. Like, I've got a lot of friends who do mead, actually, Tavares, because I have a lot of friends who do Renaissance fairs, and mead seems to be the go-to brewing thing. Yeah, I'm kind of with you there, Nomad Zeke. I mean, when I first went on keto, that was the only beer I could have, so until I got off of the beer trend, then I was doing the hoppy water, but then I just got off of it and said, no, don't need it. All right, so we've got some colors here, and actually that brown liner plus rich leather turned into a pretty nice brown. It's not as red as the one on the hawk, but I don't know, maybe I'll use a little bit of russet brown in it and see what it turns. I don't want it to get too different. Yeah, well, Katie, my old roommate, she did mead, and she would drive down. There's a big bee farm, honey farm, south of Dallas that we used to drive down to. They have a tasting room and all that and give tours. It's very cool. And that's where she would buy. They sell honey in bulk to brewers. So they'll discount it a little bit. At least it isn't quite as bad. The only time I can drink an IPA is like when it's a really hot summer day. Like when it was in like 95 or 100 in Texas and you had to go out and grill or whatever, then I could do an IPA. But I'm pretty picky. I'm drawing a blank. You have your text in white. And you said, hey, Anne, and I don't know who you are. It's the invisible man in chat. or woman. Oh, wow. Summertime is for sour beer, in your opinion? Yeah, sours. David likes sours, but like I said, he likes sour more than me. I think I can handle the IPA because I don't mind the bitterness. It's not my favorite flavor though. I'm an Abbey Ale and like winter ale person. Like I love those dark Belgians that are really strong. That's where my beer happy spot is. Oh, Chia. Well, you're invisible, Chia. Don't sit in a chair. You might sit on a chia. They think of a chia pet. Oh. Beer is, I see. Oh, Smirnoff, yeah. Beer is beer. Oh yeah, I've never had an IPA with a curry. Oh, your wife works at a Belgian pub. Awesome. You're the invisible man, Chia. Yes. Oh. Yeah, shandies I never got into, but then too much citrus or sour does tend to react with me. So, all right, let's do these pattern. Let's stop talking about beer. I know but it is New Year's Eve, so at least we're talking about something suitable, right? We're talking about booze. So let's look at this. Now, these wings are not necessarily sculpted exactly like these wings are, so we kind of have to see how many rows of feathers we've got in order to compare the two, right? So if we look at our reference photo, our very, very short top feathers, the big, soft, floofy ones, are here. So that's one big row of feathers. That's more or less, it could be 2 rows. If you look at the kind of cloudy part and then you look at as if there's an extra row. So you could divide this into 2 if you had 4 rows of feathers on your figure. So 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. So we've got at the very minimum 3 and at the most 4 bands of feathers on these wings. So now let's look at our sculpted. There we go, Chia. You're no longer invisible. That was weird. I used to really love beers more than I got out of it when I went low carb. I went away from it. And when I started reacting a little bit to alcohol too. But I can do it rarely now. It's actually better when it's rare. All right, so how many rows of feathers do we have on our wing? Looks like we have 4. So if we look, we have, and sometimes you're like, oh, but there's lots of little rows of feathers. Well, and there's lots of little rows of feathers on those big wings in the reference photo too. But we have to kind of figure out, a way to block it out so that we can make them work. So now I'm kind of looking back and forth. So this is going to be our dark row along the outside. So I'm probably just going to start by blocking that in. I might use my big flat brush still because we are blocking things in. Yeah, I always use light mode. I don't know what it is about dark mode. David likes dark mode, but I don't. All right, so this is our rich leather with a drop of brown liner and a drop of russet brown. So I should... dark wing. I need to make a note. Get yourself in the habit of making a note on your mixes right away so that you don't forget. So 4 drops rich leather, 1 brown liner, 1 russet. That way I'll be able to reproduce this on the other wing, because although I can get away with being a little bit off on my color when it goes from body to wing, from wing to wing I probably should be, actually matching. So, yeah, I don't stare at a screen all day. So because I don't, I think that's why light mode is cool for me. I also am like a writer and reader, and so I think I just naturally maybe like the light background. So we're just going to block this in. Now, if we wanted to really make sure we got a lot of texture on these wings, we could even thin this color more. As it is, I've thinned it enough. I probably thinned it about 2 to 1. And you can see that we are getting a little bit of a wash effect. Like, it is bringing out a little bit of the texture of the wing, right? David is wandering around. I'm sorry, am I in your way?
No.
Okay. I left some stuff on the floor. Sadly, it is inconvenient. My job this weekend is to finish my clear out of the closet. There we go. So get a nice even. The nice thing about using a thinner paint is that it lets you get a beautiful even base across the wing, right? Let's do both while we're at it. And this will remind me that outer layer is darker. It lets me kind of separate out my layers. We'll do it the same thing here. You can kind of see how it kind of spread. Yeah, dark mode really kind of makes me, I think, a little bit, makes it a little harder for me. Oh, we're getting some bleeds. That's the problem with thin paint, is that it tends to creep. So if you get this, where it is creeping up onto your previous layer, and you are like, oh no, I do not want this, finish out the rest of the layer if you can, because you want it always be painting against a wet edge and keep it smooth. You can always touch up that area where the paint kind of crept up. And try to keep it like an even layer. Try to make, if it's pooling, try to dry it out so it's the same thin or thickness along the whole wing. And then it'll kind of self-level. And meanwhile, back up here where it crept up between those two feathers, what happens, seriously? What can happen? The reasoning behind that is that washes and contrast paints being thinner will do capillary action more readily. So essentially they will creep up your brush and get into your brush's ferrule more readily. But I mean, it all depends on how you load your brushes. I think that's a good general guideline if you're brand new to mini painting and you're trying to, you're not paying attention so much to the details of how you paint, right? With me, I'm very conscious of how much I stick my brush into anything. So for me, I'm like, I can use something that's near a wash and use my good brush with it and not worry, because I know I'm only going to put it, on a little bit of my brush. But when you're new, you don't always pay attention to how much you're loading and unloading your brush. It's something you learn as you go. So, and if you tend to like stick your big, a huge brush into and get a lot of paint on it, it's going to wick up right into your ferrule. Now, there are plenty of ways to clean your brush if you do that. It's not like it's not a point of no return for a good brush. But, I mean, yeah, it probably would be easier if you didn't use a really good brush with your washes. I mean, if you did accidentally do it, just use some brush cleaner and you'll be fine. But yeah, I can see how, as a simple no-brainer kind of tip, that's a good one. For that reason. The more liquid your paint, the faster it's going to wick up into your ferrule here. So if you rinse often, it's not really a problem. And also I can see it being more of a problem with contrast paint because that's more of a goopy base. Whereas with washes, it's mostly water. And you usually can kind of get that out of your ferrule a little bit easier. So yeah. But in general cereals, I think that, yeah, it's an okay tip. I can see why. There's definitely a rationale for it. I usually say if you're newer into the hobby and you do buy some really good brushes, kind of reserve them for detail work at first. And that goes along that same kind of guideline, right? I'm not flat out telling you don't use these for washes. But tend to reserve them for stuff that they're really good at. And then, as you get more comfortable with it, as you get more knowledgeable about brush care and, more mindful about how you load your brush and unload it, then you can kind of swap it up and ignore that advice eventually at your peril, or if you would like to. Yeah, Chia, that's a bad habit. Break that one. Like if you do nothing else, if you learn nothing else from me, start paying attention to how you load your brush. And don't load it that much. All you're doing is wasting paint and killing your brush. It gives you no benefit to have lots of paint on your brush. 0. Oh, and if you forget them in the water. Yeah, you should not be allowed to own good brushes, Chia. I'm sorry. So for your New Year's resolution, Chia, your first New Year's resolution will be to not leave your brushes in the water. Put a little sticky note right next to you and move it around a lot and have it say, don't leave your brush in the water, so that it reminds you, and it'll irritate you for about 2 weeks, and then you'll get used to not leaving it in the water. But yes, if you treat your brushes well, they will, perform for you better. So, all right. So now we've got kind of a weird thing. We've got a set of extra feathers here. Let me see if we've got a kind of a. Yeah, it's not really. It's probably meant to be this. So this little extrusion of feathers like that. So it's probably meant to be like that set of feathers, this kind of extra quote unquote set. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to treat this and this as if it's one row. I'm going to paint it with the same type of pattern. So, like, when you get into fantasy wings on fantasy critters, they don't always emulate, like, what you see in your reference photo. So you kind of have to make a judgment call. So I can treat this and that little outcropping as if it's these two different groups of feathers. So then I know I'm pretty much going from a... Here, hold on. Donate money to a brush protection program. Where you know what the brush protection program is? Somebody comes to your house, stands behind you, and thwaps you on the head with a wet noodle every time you leave your brush in the water. Yeah. All right, so if you recall in our reference photo, this is the set of feathers that goes from light to dark. So we've got a very light gradient here, and it goes up, and then it gets quite dark except for the outer edges. We'll deal with the outer edges. We mostly just want to block in our lights and darkness at this point. So I want to go into my rich leather and then into my brown, and it's going to go to very dark on the outer edges, but we're not quite there yet. We'll probably use brown liner for those outer edges. So let's start by getting some of our rich leather and using that as a shader, just like we did with the Sphinx on her hide. We're going to ignore the inner part, which is going to be really light, because mostly we're starting with darks right now. So, oh yeah, it happens, VCR. Yeah, because it's wood, right? It's wood and paint. So when the water eats behind it, like water soaks the wood and the paint warps, and then the wood, goes, because the water seeps down in here where the paint isn't, and it gets underneath it and warps the wood and the paint cracks. Yeah, leaving your brush in water is like using the good fabric scissors to cut cardboard. So yeah, it's funny the first time. It's just not funny when you start like realizing how much money you're wasting on brushes. So all right, we'll start with this. We're going to start kind of in the middle because there's a fair amount of light feathers earlier. I'm going to take some of my base coat and kind of wet blend this area. Just kind of dab it in to make a nice blend. And you don't have to like make it real precise. You just kind of want to get a blend from your dark to your light, because there's not really a good interrupt point. Like the pattern doesn't just start out of nowhere, right? It's got a gradient to it. And then we'll do the opposite, where we take rich leather here and we'll start mixing in a little bit of our dark color. And working with, since we have a nice base coat down, working with thinned paints actually gives you a pretty good blend, because they'll kind of self-level into each other. See how I've got that blend going on here? Let's turn this and get a little closer. There we go. So I've got a nice gradient right here from the light to the dark. And then we can go more. Oh, paint puck. I don't think I've heard about the paint puck. Oh, putting my cast iron in the dishwasher would get you dead. I mean, I don't believe in, like, murder, but I would make an exception if somebody wrecked my cast iron. Alright, so now we're going to get a little bit more. And I'm kind of starting with some rich leather here because I want to start a little lighter and work into this darker color, right? And then I know that I have a light edge, so what I may do is get most of this lined in with the dark, and then start blending it on the outer edges. Now I'm working pretty quick because I want my paint to stay, and this is where us not having the heat on is actually working for me right now, because I'm able to blend and keep things wet for a little longer. I'm going to grab some rich leather and put it in there to get a little bit of a deeper color. And if I leave the edge a little lighter, that'll make it easier for me. See how it's easy to blend that. And this is still wet, so I can even come in with a damp brush. This is one of the things you can do, guys. When you've already got that layer of paint down, you can come in with a brush that's just got a little bit of water on it, just a little bit damp, and kind of pull these colors together a little more. So you can continue to blend with a damp brush. Until you have roughly what you want. So now we've got a very nice blend there. That's looking very pretty. Oh, glazed cast iron pan. Yeah, I've got my Le Creuset. It's ceramic glazed cast iron. I do love it. We used it last night, actually. All right, it's great for stews if I'm doing the longer treatment. All right, now I got to refer back to my picture, and what I've got is, let me bring that up and show you guys so that we can continue. So again, we're setting up, we're not dealing with the lights very much yet. So now the part that we're on is this part right here. This soft poofy part with lots of smaller feathers. And there's some dark and there's some light and then there's this mid golden color. So we're going to be doing probably some stippling. Hold on, Petite. This is the hawk that we're using. So this is my basis. Essentially, I'm setting up my ground colors. I do that. You want to set up your lights and darks before you start doing things like these little patterns. And you want to set them up in very general terms, so that you still have room for edge highlighting, shading, and patterns. So one thing I do need to do is set out these two feathers here that have a different pattern, which is part of why I chose this bird. There's two long feathers there that have a very different pattern than the others. Alrighty, so since we have that kind of middle way, I think that the deep color near the bird or near the root is going to be the rich leather. And I'm not copying the colors like exactly. I'm just trying to get the light and dark variants put together. Looking at it, gets a lot darker out here. So we're gonna, since we're working with our darks first, I need to remember that the edge is very light. And then we get some brown splotches coming in. So we're just going to get, really, I'm just going to dab it and work it this way. And we're going to get more dark out toward the end. And we're going to get more light toward the bottom and toward there. So we're just wet blending with stippling at this point. What we're doing is we're setting up a randomized pattern like you might find on an actual natural wing. So you look at him a lot and say, it's a good thing you're pretty. No man Zeke. The classic Texan and Southern saying. Especially effective when stated to young Texan or Southern men by elderly ladies. Or especially funny at any rate. There we go. So I've got some mottled texture. If I look, I can see that it actually gets quite a bit darker out here, though it's still not as dark as it is out here. So I think I want to focus and get a little bit more in there once this is a little dry. My colors are a bit richer and a bit less faded out, but I want them to go with Sphinx-y, and she's got very rich coloration. The thing that really makes, this is just the setup, and the thing that really makes the wing come out then is when you come in with, you know, all your highlights. This is definitely not the fast way to do the wing, like I showed you guys on Spirit Beast, where I glazed everything in and just kept the wing texture. That's the simple way to do wings, and simple and fast. And the problem with wings, and this is the every like really good mini painter runs into this. The problem is you either have to paint them quick and dirty, or you have to paint them super slow. And anything in between just doesn't seem to work as well. So that's why a lot of us really don't like wings. But I feel like this is an interesting enough wing pattern that it's going to be really interesting, and so I like it. All right, let's see here. I think I do want to make it a little bit more dark out here. So as the paint gets drier, it's still wet. You can see it's wet, right? But as it gets more dry, the brush marks that you leave are going to stand out more. So the where you put a dark color, it's more likely to stay and less likely to spread out along the path of the wet paint. I do want to look out there. I do have some light edges out there still. I'm going to grab my base coat and blend this in because I've got some puddling here. See it? I've got not a blended edge, so we're going to bring this up in. We may end up doing quite a lot of wet blending on these to get the edges to come in. We'll see. Now there are some lighter areas too out here that I maybe want to bring in. So now I'm going to take my light paint and stipple. See, I'm bringing in lighter sections. So I want this top part to look kind of cloudy. Kind of like a natural kind of clouded pattern, like a clouded leopard, or, you know, it's kind of how it looks on the wing. Some natural variation. The leading edge looks a little lighter, so I'm going to bring in my lighter color here. There we go. And a lot of these feathers are going to stay kind of really soft. Like, we're not going to bring them out really crisp because if you remember the picture, they're just kind of a big soft clump. They're not very defined. So we gotta keep that in mind. Like I said, even if you're not copying everything like straight up about the wing, kind of figure out like the key parts of it and go for that. This is almost coffee colored. It's kind of pretty. I like it, and it works with Sphinx-y, I think. Let's see. So in the process of your painting, while you're in these early stages where it's very easy to glaze or to tint or to change what you've done, is a good time to kind of put the wing on the model and make sure that it goes with what you've got. So if we put the wing on Sphinx-y, this particular wing sadly doesn't stick on very well. But if we kind of put it on there up to her, the wing goes with her lion parts, and it's a nice contrast, but it definitely goes with, and as we get the highlights on and make sure that we get our highlight color being kind of in sync with this, we're going to get a better idea of how close and how well these wings fit with her, right? Now I have a little bleed coming in to my light feathers. See how the water is treating it as a wash. Like all of this wet blending up here just seeped down into this light feather layer. So right away I want to go in and kind of mitigate that by putting in some light paint. I still want the blend. I still want the naturalism of it. So I'm going to kind of try to push the dark paint up into the other part of the wing. I don't mind if I keep a little bit of darkness in there. I can always highlight around it. And a little bit of contrast is good for when you start bringing in light areas. But I don't want it to look messy. I want it to look natural. The color would naturally fade in if it was on an animal. If you see a lot of paint pooling and you don't really want it, oh no, your coffee color is empty now. So you can come back in with a brush that you've just kind of squeezed out or tapped off where it's still damp, but it can hold fluid, and you can kind of slurp some of the excess away if you're worried about it. If you're worried you've gotten too much water into it, so it might ring, that's one thing you don't want to do. If you come back and blend with a damp brush, you want to make sure it's a damp brush, not a wet brush. Because if you put too much water in, it's going to act like a wash that's broken. So these colors are probably about 2 to 1, maybe 1 to 1 at most. Between 2 to 1 and 1 to 1 paint to water. So they're not washes. Usually my wash level starts around, I would say my wash level is around 1 to 1. Unless I'm using my mixture with the sealer, then all bets are off, and you can put a lot more fluid and a lot less paint if you are using sealer or wash medium. Let's see. That's pretty good. That one's that's sticking out a little bit too much. But now my paint is drying, so anything I do, I need to be very careful not to strip up the paint. So now I might just be stuck. Well, I can still get that little edge, I think. That one's uneven. All right, so now we're gonna let it dry. And once it's dry, we'll be able to see how good our blends are. Just like we can see the nice blend we got here. We'll be able to see kind of what our modeled pattern really looks like up here. And this gives us a really interesting base for when we start doing our patterns, right? Because you've already got some complexity and some blending and fading here, so that when you come back to do the patterns, you'll have kind of an interesting foundation to put them over, so it'll make the whole thing look even better. So try not to put like a flat base down when you're trying to do wings, even though you're like, oh, but I'm going to do a lot of patterns. Putting a little bit more complexity to your base before you start even into the patterns can help your wing look even better. All right, let me see here. I'm just going to consult. I need actually to do some different stuff. I need to figure out which of those two feathers are going to be different. I guess I could also set up the other wing, but yeah, I guess I probably should. Much as I hate to repeat myself on stream, but here we go. So let's apply what we did to this other. Now we have to match them, right? Luckily, if I put them right next to each other, it's really obvious how I did things. So, and putting them right next to each other also lets me judge, you know, how soon does my dark start? When did I start moving my rich leather in? Then when did I start putting my brown in? And how light or dark did I keep it? That's a little bit too much. I usually start by going up against the edge of the feathers up top, and then I pull it down. We definitely want more dark in the middle. And if they're not a perfect match for each other, guys, on each side, don't worry about it. Because they just have to be close. If they get close, then the eye's going to see them as the same anyway. As long as you don't have any huge departs from each other. Any huge changes. All right, so we're getting that set up. I actually didn't put down water there, VCR. I put down my base coat. There. It looked like water because it was the same color as this. So I started with the base coat. Oops, a little dark, too dark there. I started with the base coat because I wanted to blend, because my reference photo on this layer of feathers goes from light through the middle to dark. So this is the area that I'm doing. So I wanted to put down my base color first because I want to keep my lightest color, even though it's going to get even lighter when I do highlights. I wanted to keep my light color first and then start graduating until I got to my darker color. So that's why I put down the base coat first, so I could then start blending this richer color in and then go to the darker color on the outside. Oh, no, not bad eyes at all. It was really invisible. Now, that said, Corey has a point that if I was trying to blend, like, say, up here and I didn't want to, I could, if I didn't have my base coat still, I could just put down water and blend the darker color in. That does work. I want to caution you doing that over bones, though, because sometimes I find it throwing a high amount of water onto an area that's just got one base coat on it can cause the paint to kind of loosen. So be careful. I've had that happen. I haven't had it recently happen, but I have had it happen in the past. So I tend to be cautious about the amount of water I put down over bones. Now I'm going to take my lighter color again and blend out the edges of these feathers just like I did over here. See them? There we go. Let's pop this back. There. So I want a little bit of going out towards the light here so that when I put my even lighter color down, it's going to look good. So really, what you're doing here with this step is you're setting yourself up for success. You know you're going to lighten this even more, but you're setting yourself up with a nice transition and not too much contrast. Giving yourself a good base coat to work off of. Then when you start putting really precise stuff over the top of it, it does tend to look really cool. All right, so we keep this lower part actually lighter. I actually let it get a little too dark on this side. I'm going to go in and pop a little bit more light into it here. It's dry now, so I can go back in with my base coat and kind of layer it. I will keep my brush kind of moving in the direction of the quills so that I'm reinforcing the pattern that's already sculpted on the wings instead of just putting a line down or something. There. So that's lighter now. You see how that area is lighter, and that's what I want. It'll go even lighter than that by the time we're done, but for now, that's where we want it. And if I want some contrast, I can take my darkest color and put a little bit of a shadow in. If I want to accentuate that contrast, I can put a little bit of a shadow in here. And my paint is thin enough that it blends okay, but if I want it to blend even better, I could go and take a little bit of water onto my brush and kind of make it into a spot wash by painting along the edge. I like doing that on wings a lot, doing that kind of like little spot blend wash thing. Every little subtlety that you can do helps make your wings more natural. That's why I say don't just paint them a flat color before you do your patterns. Give yourself a more interesting wing. Yeah, no problem, VCR. Alrighty. So we've got that light layer that I want there, and then above it we've got that clouded pattern, right? So, and here's where you can run into things like where the wings aren't exactly the same, although they, you know, because we have awesome Julie sculpting these wings, you do get organic differences, and that's cool. That's what makes it awesome and artsy and living, right? So let's see here. I want to make these dark. I want to keep that light. I want to do a lot of kind of blotchy pattern in here. I want this to be really warm. So we're kind of duplicating the other side of the wing. Now the patterns are going to be different on each side of the wing. Most animals, when they get to that kind of randomized modeled pattern, are not the same on both sides. Look at a merle dog, you know. So nature has regularity, but it also has irregularity. So knowing when to use one and when to use the other is a function of using your visual references, which is why I always say, look at a picture. If you're going to paint an animal, look at a picture. Even if it's a fictional animal, look at pictures that are as close to the fictional animal as you can get. And it could give you, along with, you know, making your animal look more real, even if it's not a real animal, it can also just give you interesting ideas. I wouldn't have thought about doing this modeled area on the wing if I hadn't come across that picture. Let's see, so that's my light one, so I want some dark out here and dark up here. Then the edge of the wing is a little bit lighter, as I recall, and the outer part of the wing is a little bit darker. So there, and then a little bit of that, and that should give us a nice mottled effect. And still give us, I might need a little bit more in here, a little bit more color. And I need to pull off this extra paint because I have a lot of extra paint. And this is just the base coat, Soltor. Okay, it's one step up from base coat. This is the shading. But we're probably going to go in with even more shading and even more highlighting. This is the wings on hard mode. If you want wings on easy mode, go back and look at Spirit Beast. When I painted Spirit Beast. Because that's done all with glazes. And that's the easier way to do wings, in my opinion. Well sculpted wings, anyway. Wings that are sculpted with all this feather detail. Uh-oh, I'm losing some. Well, no, wait. This is my dark. That's right. I forgot which layer was my lighter layer. I do need a little bit of shade here, so I am going to pop some of my rich leather in here. I do want a little bit of organic irregularity, so I'm not just going to leave that part blank. I am going to layer in some rich. I might even let a little bit of my darker brown kind of get down there, here and there. Make it a little bit more... When I say something is organic, I'm usually talking about like randomized patterns, irregularities that are nature-born. So even though most of these feathers are light, I might want a little bit of variation. So I will put a little bit of my darker colors in there, just hints here and there, and then I can come back on the edges and make sure that these are still much lighter than the stuff that's above them. I do need to extend my darks down a little bit. Looking at this, this is much too light compared to that, so I'm going to grab some of my dark while my paint is still wet and let it kind of diffuse through. And I want want those edges out here to be a little bit lighter, so I'm going to mix my base coat in. Honestly, I would probably overprime him. Ultra Squid, I hate to say that. But because his feathers are so huge, like his pinions and all the little quills are so huge, I mean, it makes it really difficult, I think. I don't have the model. It's a beautiful sculpt, but when you blow the wings up that much, it is very difficult. I mean, I probably would use the same kind of treatment, but I'd have to really look at how deep the feather fibers are. Like, I might be tempted to like use a treatment that filled in some of that detail just to leave a little bit of it so that it would be easier to paint on. But I mean, if you're just going to throw a wash on it, then obviously that works. But I would probably use, at that point, I would use colors that were closer together to do the wash instead of farther apart if it's got feather fibers that are that big. But otherwise, I'd use this same kind of treatment. I mean, I don't think so, Alba. I think they canceled reaperlive tonight because New Year's Eve. And a lot of people like have things that they're like doing, even in this age. Like, I think Justin said he might have plans, and he runs the show, so there we go. So we'll let that dry, and then we'll compare them. I think I maybe lost a little bit of I got a little bit too dark in here, so I'm going to mix some of my base coat in real quick to give it a little bit of a lighter. Washes dry lighter than they look, though, so be careful about that. You may think it looks darker, but once it dries, it may not. So washes almost always dry darker. There we are. I think our wings are... I've got a little bit of irregular here. I didn't get a nice blend here like I wanted. So I might actually go back in there. And make it a little nicer blend. There, that's a little better. Yeah, I mean, I always like try to do kind of an introspective one. I have a lot to get done for my Patreon today, and whatever you guys don't get, for those of you who are on my patrons, you know, if I am a little bit behind, just assume that I'm going to spend the next several days catching up over the weekend and stuff. Since I kind of took days where I wasn't doing anything after Kiri passed, I'll just do a little work over the weekend to catch up. I know you guys are all like really supportive, so thank you. I know you understand. Especially when I keep getting all sad on stream. It is plain that Anne is not yet all okay. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. We all are at various states of okay, right? Some of us are not very close to okay, and some of us are closer to okay. There we go. All right. So yeah, I think these are gonna come out pretty good if you look at them. Let's see. Let's just let this one dry, and I think they're pretty. This is a good start. So yeah, good. And I've got my my notes on all of my colors. I need to make a note that my mid shadow is rich leather, although that's pretty evident. Usually when a color is a color, like I only use that color as itself on a model, it's really easy for me to see what color it is. Now I need to pick out my two unique feathers. Remember, around the edge of this wing, this is where we start to like picking out things. Remember, we've got these two feathers, these two long feathers, flight feathers, that are very different patterns. They're lighter, and they've got really dark tips. They've got a pattern. And here you can see them also. There you go. So they're there and there. So they're kind of past the first fan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's past the first 7 feathers or so. is when we get that. So let's count and see if on this it turns out right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so it would be like these 2 feathers. I don't know, I might want them out a little bit more. And on the bird here, they're out just a little bit more. Like I might want to put them out here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the ones that they are in reality are here. So that would be a light accent there. It does kind of make sense. It's the last feathers before we hit this inner grouping. So it does kind of make sense that these would be those feathers. They're almost gray, like they're really a different color. So maybe I will... I might need an off-white for this. This is one area where I might not add pure white. I might choose to add like bleached linen or something just to keep it natural. Let me see what I've got over here. Got creamy ivory, got treasure map. I always keep losing my my bleached linen. There it is. Oh, hey, thanks for the raid, Cromers. Oh, who asked about, oh, Wilk Sparks, I missed your question 1 second. Sorry about that. I've been trying to keep up. Oh, yeah, I put water. I keep a bottle of water, Wilk Sparks. Like, I just keep a normal bottle of water. I also have a few that are water and a little tiny bit of flow improver that I mix up if I feel like it. But the paint already, Reaper paints already have flow improver added to them, so you really don't need it. Water is, they're really made to be really easy to work with. Like, I don't like paint lines where it feels like I have to mix in a bunch of mediums to make the paint work the way I want it. I want a paint line that works with just water, thanks. And then if I want to add other things for special effects, I can choose to, but... Yeah, the calming painting lady, is that me? Because I'm so chill. I'm zen, man. Yeah. So, all right. So we're making wings. We're doing wings. And we're, yeah, we've just got about 10 or 15 minutes left, but that's cool. So, hey guys, new people, here, let me show you my awesome picture. So I was looking, these are the wings for the Sphinx. Hold on, let me get Sphinx-y here. She fell off her little base. So this is our Sphinx that we've been working on. Yeah, and there are her wings, except that's the back of her wings, actually. So we're working on the backs first, but I still want the colors to go well with her, and I think they do, just judging from that. Tried to raid Bob Ross, felt I was second best. I will take that, Cromers. I will absolutely take that. Bob Ross is so chill. I bet they're doing a Bob Ross marathon for the new year, huh? Because everybody needs to chill. Like, I love watching those. I love them. Super awesome. All right, so yeah, what we're doing is the Sphinx, and we're doing her wings. And I wanted to base them on a falcon or a hawk. So I took my, I have a lot of reference books of animals. So I've got this awesome African harrier hawk, and it's got just beautiful wings. So that's what we're using to duplicate. And right now I'm trying to figure out how I want to do these 2 odd feathers that it has on both sides that have unusual patterns. So I want to make them a little bit different. So, and they're paler and they're grayer, but you can get in trouble with that. So I think I want to mix my dark brown here in with some bleached linen color, which is going to give me a grayer color, but it shouldn't get me in trouble because I'm using a color that I've already used on the rest of the wing to make a new color. If you want your colors to go together, guys, the best thing I can say is learn to mix, because it will allow you to create a palette that works together by, you know, constantly utilizing variants of colors that you're already using on the model, which almost always means that they will harmonize much better together. Even if normally going with a more gray color on a very vibrant wing like this would look weird, it should work a lot better because I've used this color, and this is just a variant. It's just a lighter version of that color, so it should work. I think 2021 is going to be good, guys. I am an optimist. I am the calm paint lady, as it were. So I think it's going to be good. I think we're going to have some fun this year. May take a little while for things to calm down, but I think we can all relax and have a little bit of fun this year. That's my firm conviction for this coming year. All right. All right. So I decided that these were the 2 feathers that were likely the right ones. So let's do it. Let's put a thin coat of paint in a lighter color here. Now these wings also have very dark pattern at the tips. So the light is going to make them stand out. And I need to kind of check them to see how they overlap. If they overlap with a dark edge or not. They really don't. They have kind of patterning on them. But it's kind of a speckle pattern. So that means I'm just going to paint them right next to each other as they are. I'm not going to worry about shading between them right now. Again, we're blocking in the pattern, right? We're just kind of looking at the ground color right now. And then at the end, the last thing we do is add in all the very tight patterns, like the bar shape, the striping and the dark tips and stuff here. Since she's a Sphinx, and these, unless she is an unnatural creature, instead of using just a dark brown for those dark tips on her wings and the bars and stuff, I'm probably going to end up using some blue and black, which is what I did with her hair. So since her hair has that blue-black kind of, black that's done with shiny blue highlights, I'm probably going to, when I do the tips here, I'm going to have them have a lot of that vibrant blue so that it ties the wing pattern to her. So, oh, are we? Really, Saltor? According to which mythology? Or which cosmology, I should say. Tutorial complete. No, Nomad Zeke, I refuse. I refuse to buy into your negativity. Everybody thinks it's funny, but guys, stuff like that can be a self-fulfilling prophecy. Always think about the things that make you happy. Don't dwell on the crap that makes you sad. Like, deal with it, but don't dwell on it. Because that sort of thing tends to, it's a self-fulfilling thing. If you believe that this coming year is going to be crap, guess what? It will be. Because you're always going to notice the worst things that happen because you set yourself up to do that. I believe that this year is going to be amazing. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be the best year of my life. I will go out on record. This year, guys, this year is the best year of my life. Bet you anything. And I will firmly believe that, and we will see if it comes true. Alrighty. I am brave. I do not mind putting my life on the line that way. Daring the universe. Did you get nothing good out of 2020, Val? If you are honest with yourself, were there not good things that happened in 2020? Remember, it is the tendency of humans to remember the bad things. You gotta be aware of that and kind of fight against your own psyche on that. Because it is true. You just wait. That Mercy Witch is going to be like the best thing you've ever painted. I was working on setting up like your PDF yesterday. I think I might do you a short video. I'm kind of going toward that on my coaching tier. Like sometimes it's really hard to explain stuff on a PDF, and so I might give some of you videos. Yeah, there were some good things. Yeah, but you gotta focus on those good things, because like if I sit here and I go, oh, my dog died, and I'm stuff like that, and 2020 was terrible, and I couldn't go outside, and I couldn't travel. If I sit and go on that, like I'm gonna be sad, right? Whereas if I go and say, but I moved to California and I'm living with David and I love him, and and I had extra time, more time with Kiri than is average for a dog of her size, and if I concentrate on that, then it's much better. Then I'm more disposed to think that the new year will be good. Yeah, see, Razan, it's like they always say that the love you lose is repaid in a different form, right? Sorry, getting a little teary. Too soon. My poor dog. But I can't really say that. Like, I keep wanting, it's really weird, like, when you kind of watch yourself think, like, I keep wanting to feel guilty about Kiri passing, about saying goodbye to her, but I really can't. She had a great life as a dog. She did so many things that other dogs would not get to do. Like, and I loved her right up to the end, so even when she was having lots of issues. So I try to, like, watch my brain try to do that, right? My brain wants me to feel guilty, or it wants me to feel bad. I'm just like, no way, this was good. This was much better than it could have been. Yeah. Oh, it is too. Come on, Shadow Raven. Twitch is fun. Twitch is fun because it's not just passive. Like, it's not sitting on YouTube. It's like, you know, you have a community. That I really, once I discovered Twitch, I loved the Twitch community. As obnoxious as it can be sometimes. But then that's humanity. And for the most part, hey, Mhoop. Welcome. We're wrapping up the stream. Our New Year's Eve stream. But welcome. I'm doing wings for the Sphinx. We do a variety of projects over the course. I think the Sphinx will be back this coming week. The Sphinx takes a break, but then she'll be back on Monday the following week. So I've got kind of a 6 miniature cycle. So I've blocked in a lighter color. It's a little bit more dark on this side because I used a little bit of a heavier coat on the other side. When you're putting this on, guys, try to go in the direction of the quills of the feathers. That way, if you do leave brush strokes, it works with the pattern. When you've got a textured surface, you have a lot of kind of like helping things that you can do, and that's one of them. Here, let's get close again. Twitch is time consuming, this is sure. I mean, it's nice when you can do it, you know, as alongside something else, though. Like, I know a lot of people paint along to my stream, and that's cool. That means you're freeing up hobby time. Yeah, exactly, Salter. No shows for Reaper. No, tomorrow is a official Reaper holiday, Val. So, like, I mean, there is a show for Reaper today. I'm in.
Well, and Sadie's show.
Oh, Sadie's show. Okay, so Sadie's going to say Happy New Year to you guys, too. See, there you go. Yeah, this is just the beginning stages, Resin. And the other one here, let me go get Spirit Beast real quick before we say goodbye. And show you guys Spirit Beast, because he's the easy way. Ah! I'm going to knock over all my paint. One second. Getting Spirit Beast. Spirit Beast is behind a lot of things, so he or she, I believe, is knocking over everything as I pull her to the front. I believe it is a she, though. Is it a she? Yeah, I think it's a she. All right, so Spirit Beast was the first one that I showed people wings on. This is the easy way to wing. All right, here we go. Her tail is falling off. That's because I haven't pegged it in. So this is Spirit Beast, and you can see I started with the base coat over here, and then everything over here is just me using, like, washes or glazes. So let me get her in focus and get these other wings out of the way. Ah, get out of there, brush. Focus. There we go. All right, so if you're lucky, I'll get your coaching done, Val, on the first, and then you'll get it. I'm trying to get everything out. All right, so this is done just with a little bit, even just a little bit of, like, not necessarily dry brushing, but side brushing. So this is another way to do wings. So this one, the golden wings I'm doing are very time consuming, and they're gonna be really good, but they're very time consuming. Here, this is a lot easier. You're using washes to just kind of build up shadows. You start with a really light color, you build up and build down all your shadows, and then you use, then you add like little black edging here on the edge of the wings, or you lighten the tips of some of the wings, or you lighten the top, right? So this is the easier way to do wings. It gives you decent results. It's not going to give you, like, mind-blowing results, but it's going to make it look decent. So, all that sort of things. Yeah, there you go, Val. Do a rewatch. Rewatch the streams. Pick a model you really liked that I've worked on. So, essentially, Raisin, if you're interested in how I did those wings with the Spirit Beast, look for, on the Reaper YouTube, Reaper Miniatures YouTube, look for Spirit Beast and this number, 44030. And this is also a Julie Mini. Then you'll be able to see, like, I think the wings were one of the last things I did on the model. So, I think I did all over. I think I even did, like, the water and stuff on. I did a lot of things on stream. She still needs a lot of work. She's kind of gone to the back of the pile for now. Yeah, that'll give you a couple different ways to do wings, and then if you hang out with us, Raisin, then you'll see me finish these guys out. I'll try to finish. I should be able to finish all the patterning next time we do Sphinx, and then maybe we'll spend some time more time on her jewelry because I still need to tackle that and the tip of her tail, and then we can do the other side of the wings, which is the underside, which is typically doesn't have necessarily as many features. Depends on the bird, though. I mean, it really varies, right? So we'll get down to the next thing. Oh, and I need to make a note of the light feather color that I used on my sticky note of notes. So light feather is bleached linen plus shadow color plus dab of rich leather to make it a little warmer. There, now I've got everything written down in my sticky notes so I can get back together and remix everything when I come back. Ta-da! Sweet. Awesome. Yeah, you can also, go back and the NMM on the Sphinx is really easy, Inara, because the smaller you go with NMM, the smaller the surfaces you have, the more you're just kind of just like, you know, it's like you're simplifying it so much that it's just like you're hitting the points and then you're good. So it's actually a lot easier to do small NMM than it is to do big NMM, big areas. Little areas, usually it's just an accent. Like you hit the highest highlight, you hit the shadow, you hit the reflection, you're done. Like, and you simplify everything with tiny little bands of NMM like this. It's all very, very simple. You still need to get your highlights in the right areas for it to read right, and you need the shadow under it. But you can kind of wax over a lot because it's just all these tiny little bands, and as long as you get it more or less right, it reads right. Are you using a lot of yellow in your brown? Because if it looks brown, add yellow to it. Remember, I add a drop of lantern yellow to every color when I'm doing gold NMM for a reason. And if barring that, try glazing with something like lantern yellow or saffron sunset or marigold. If you glaze with the yellow, sometimes that will really pick it up. That's what John Bono used to do. He loved marigold yellow for that. Saffron sunset for that, sorry. So yeah, there we go. So I hope you all had a lovely, lovely morning or evening or afternoon or whatever it is, wherever you are. I am going to go and relax and work on some Patreon videos and write-ups and stuff, and then have a very nice dinner with my man and have a whiskey old-fashioned and toast the new year. Yeah, no problem. Come on anytime. Oh, no problem, Bob and Julie. I love seeing you guys come on the stream. It's like I have my own like sculptors that come and watch my stream. Plus, I miss everybody, right? So maybe we'll get a real. My wishes are for an in-person ReaperCon this year, right? That's one of my wishes. I have 3 big wishes for this year: in-person ReaperCon, get back to Hawaii, and find an agent for my book. Those are my 3 big wishes for this year. Even if I get 2 out of 3, I'm gonna be good. Yes, Happy New Year, everybody. Seriously, have a really good one. Focus on the awesome stuff you're going to do this year. Like, there's awesome out there. Get out there and find it, okay? Who we got to raid, Justin?
We're going to be raiding Miniatures Den.
Oh, yay, it's Luca. All right, cool. So toss Luca a Happy New Year, because it's like they're at the drinking hour. Is he drinking on stream?
I don't know if he is or not. I'm not sure.
I mean, if I were doing a New Year's Eve stream, I would definitely have a beverage of some sort next to me. But anyway, you guys have a fantastic day. I will see you again on Monday. Have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you guys very much. We'll see you this afternoon for Painting Platinum. And yes, don't forget, tell Luca happy birthday. Thanks, Wendy. Thanks, guys. We'll see you later.